At 4:47 on a Thursday, Helen Sy clicked into the 73rd patron account of the afternoon and paused before she understood why. The first 72 had looked the same: account status, expiration date, retention flag. She had been checking them since 2 o'clock, each one taking less than a minute once the pattern became clear. Inactive accounts with reading histories still attached. The system had pulled them into a report that morning after the Privacy Committee approved the new retention schedule. Before the migration next quarter, someone had to confirm that flagged records would purge correctly. That was Helen's job, and had been for 11 years in one form or another. The rhythm was simple: open the record, check the History tab. If the tab was empty, the system had already anonymized the reading list at expiration, and the account could be flagged for migration without review. If the tab was populated, Helen had to confirm the patron had opted in, check for any unresolved holds or fees, and then flag the record for anonymization. Most of the accounts cleared in less than 30 seconds. A few took longer because of old fines or expired interlibrary loans that the system had preserved instead of writing off. The office had emptied an hour earlier. Staff services closed at 6, but the back desks cleared sooner on Thursdays. Helen's workstation faced the window onto the lot. The afternoon had gone the color of weak tea. HVAC cycled somewhere behind the wall. On the desk beside her keyboard, a mug of tea she had poured at 3:30 sat cold, a ring of tannin darkening where the level had been. 72 accounts checked, flagged, and added to the batch. The 73rd showed the same status banner as the others. Account inactive. Expired 2019-0314. Below that, the tabbed panes. Summary, checkouts, history, fines, notes. What stopped her was the length of the history list when she clicked it open. Most retained histories ran a few dozen entries. This one filled the screen and kept going. She scrolled once, then again. The dates went back further than she had seen in any account that afternoon. 2002, 2003, 2004. The patron had opted into reading history when the feature was new. Then they had kept borrowing for 17 years. The last entry was March 2019. Same month the account expired. After that, nothing. She scrolled back to the top. Sunset Western Garden Book. February 2002. Central Branch. Returned early. Basic Home Wiring Illustrated. April 2002. Central Branch. On Time. Stairway Walks in San Francisco. June 2002. Bayshore Branch. 3 days late, fine paid. The pattern started ordinary. Practical subjects, evenly spaced. Field Guide to California Mushrooms. August 2002. The Bountiful Container. November 2002. Returned early. The Bountiful Container. March 2003. Same ISBN, same branch, checked out again. The system showed both transactions as separate lines. By 2004, the intervals began to shift. Helen scrolled, watching the dates compress. California COSM Access Guide. January 2004. Tide pools of the Pacific Coast. February 2004. Returned on time. Weather of the Pacific Northwest. February 2004. Same checkout date as the Tide Pools book. 3 in a month where there had been one. The display slowed as she scrolled. The system loading older entries in batches, the progress bar blinking twice before the next set appeared. Birds of the Northern California coast. March 2004. Returned a day early. Tide tables and currents. San Francisco Bay region. April 2004. The sea around us. May 2004. Point Reyes, A Natural History. June 2004. Outside the window, a car started in the lot. Headlights swung briefly across the glass before turning toward the exit. The office was quiet except for the HVAC settling into a lower register. The coastal books kept coming. Helen scrolled past Living on the Wind and The Outer Coast and California Seabirds. Then The Joy of Cooking, which broke the pattern for one entry before the tide pool subjects resumed. Then another interruption. Tax preparation for small business, checked out in February and returned late with a fine of 40 cents. Tide Pools of the Pacific Coast appeared again in 2006. Same ISBN, same branch. By 2008, the pattern had narrowed. Coastal books, weather books, a field guide to marine mammals. One entry from 2009 showed only a title in plain text. Shoreline changes, Point Reyes headlands, administrative report. The link to the catalog record was gray and dead. Helen clicked it anyway. The system returned a message, item record not found. This title has been withdrawn from the collection. The history entry remained. Tide Pools of the Pacific Coast appeared a third time in 2011. Helen paused on the 3 lines, 2004, 2006, 2011, and kept scrolling. By 2014, the intervals began to stretch. Where 2008 had 12 entries, 2014 had 5. A bird guide in March, nothing until July, then a photography book about coastal fog, nothing in August, nothing in September. A weather atlas in October, returned early. 2015 showed 3 entries. 2016 showed 2. The last year was thin. January 2019. Houseplants for the home. Central Branch. On time. February 2019, the #1 Ladies Detective Agency, Bayshore. On time. March 2019, Maisie Dobbs. Central. On time. After that, nothing. The cursor blinked at the bottom of the list. The system offered no field for what came next. The expiration date sat at the top of the screen. 2019-0314. 3 days after the last checkout return. Helen sat with the screen. 72 accounts flagged already. This was 73. The checkbox in the migration window waited beside the patron number. the same checkbox she had clicked 72 times that afternoon without pausing. Above it, the History tab was still open. The last entry, the mystery novel, returned 2019-0311, Central Branch, no fine, sat at the bottom of the list. The light through the window had shifted. 5 o'clock or close to it. The lot outside was mostly empty. Somewhere in the public area a phone rang twice and stopped. She should check the box. The batch would run tonight. The system would strip the patron ID and the reading history before the data migrated. What remained would be aggregate statistics, checkout counts by call number and branch. Nothing personal enough to keep. Helen moved the cursor to the checkbox. She had done this 72 times already. The gesture was the same. Open the record, check the tab, click the box, move to the next. She looked at the screen. The cursor sat on the checkbox. The History tab was still open. The titles sat in their column. Sunset Western Garden Book at the top, Maisie Dobbs at the bottom. 17 years of checkouts in between. The repeated tide pools. The dead bib link. The tax guide and the cookbook and the coastal weather books that came closer and closer together until they began to thin. She did not check the box. She closed the History tab instead. The patron record folded back to its summary pane. Status banner. Redacted fields. The account inactive since March 2019. The checkbox remained unchecked beside the patron number. The batch list showed 72 flagged accounts and 1 still open. Helen stood. The mug on her desk was cold. She picked it up, felt the weight of the tea still in it, and set it down without drinking. She would finish the batch tomorrow. On the screen, the cursor blinked beside the unchecked box.